I just gotta squint here because the light is so blinding.
No, it's not.
You're so pale. Compared to me, I'm orange chicken right here. I'm up in orange chicken.
Okay. While we're waiting for that to load, what's up, everybody? It's 1512, and I'm here with my younger brother, Aaron. Now, if the video can work, we're gonna be doing a try not to laugh, a horror story, try not to get scared challenge. Why the crap do I look like the guy from the Goonies in this angle? This is not how I normally do my camera angles. Sorry. But yeah, the rule, from what I can get of the rules of this challenge, is that you have to be completely in the dark, which we are in. It's really dark right now. We just have these two lights on, just me and him, and the computer screen.
And the sun, which we had to block out.
Is YouTube even freaking working? Video finally decided to work. It's on, and we're starting. If the video is not in the link below, it could be too scary or inappropriate content, which I love. If you don't want to watch the video, go on ahead, leave now. Don't do that, man. That's scary. Okay. I hope you like the new background. I did get a new headset. I will use them in the new gaming video I'll be uploading. But I haven't been uploading in a while because we're trying to move. And also, we got our laptop back. Yay! But without any further ado, let's go.
You guys can't even see the rest of my body except for my hands and my neck.
3, 2, 1, go.
I was looking for a car to buy for my son for his 18th birthday. I was searching all the typical car websites, Cars.com, eBay Motors. They were all overpriced as expected. Craigslist was the only place to find an actual deal. About a week into my search, I found an 03 Toyota Camry. It had 67,000 miles, no accidents, no damage, and good condition for only $3,500. This seems like a steal for such a reliable car with such low mileage. The seller lived about 10 miles from me, which was a reasonable drive when looking for a car. I gave him a call.
It's just the background music makes it worse. Why do they do this?
To set up a time to come check it out. The man sounded normal on the phone. He assured me that there were absolutely no problems with the car. He introduced himself as Bob. I brought along $3,500 in cash, even though I planned on wiggling down the price as much as possible. I pulled up the dirt road to Bob's property about 15 minutes early. It was a tiny little house with a decent-sized property, only because I was a bit far from the nearest neighbors.
And that's when you start to run.
Hey guys, I have an idea.
What?
What if this turns out to be the most hilarious horror story in the world?
Maybe.
The garage was open, so I walked over to see if anybody was inside, but except for an unusual amount of car parts, it was empty. The car was nowhere in sight. The only car on the property was an old pickup truck. I went over to the front door to check the house numbers. It was the right address. The doorbell button was missing, so I knocked on the front door.
What the crap would that happen?
I knocked for exactly 5 minutes before deciding to give the man a call. So I dialed his number and I heard the sound of a cell phone ringing from inside the house. I was extremely confused at this point. Now I knew I had the right house. I didn't understand why, if he was home, why he wasn't answering. I decided I had to take a peek through one of the windows to see if anybody was inside.
Did they animate this with Microsoft Paint?
Peering through the glass, I couldn't really see much as it was pretty dark inside the house. I saw a very old-fashioned dining room set, but across from that, I saw somebody standing at the back door of the house, staring outside. I figured that must have been Bob, so I knocked on the window, but he didn't even move.
Why would you knock on the window?
There was no gate or anything to the backyard. It was just a wide open yard since this wasn't a rural area. I simply walked around the house to the backyard.
I could see why they
didn't
evicted
understand
him
how
in
he
suburban
couldn't hear me.
areas.
When I got to the back door, I made a shocking realization. The figure standing by the door was a human being. I ran straight back the way I came and back to my car.
I nearly
I looked
fell out
up
of
one
my
last
chair.
time before
Dude, he's
driving
gone.
off. The blinds to the window I had peeked into had been shut, but I could see 2 of the blinds bent open. Somebody was at that window watching me. You can probably guess I had the gas pedal to the floor the whole way home. The whole situation
And
still
this is
makes
why,
no
Aaron, it's
sense.
good. It's
All the
wait.
car parts, the fact that there was no Toyota Camry, the human being, the fact that there was no car there leads me to believe that
It just looked like
whoever
a
that
rubber
man
mask,
was
like
wasn't planning on selling me anything.
Captain America.
And that also
like the first
leads to the
Avengers.
disturbing thought that
Oh, yep. Look
I was
away
very
from it.
close to becoming a lifeless statue staring out that man's back door.
I can see out the corner of my eye. He's still there, and he's gone. The toy closet.
I don't like
It was very common for me to be home alone at
Five
night,
Nights at
as I
Freddy's
only lived with my
4?
dad, and his shifts would constantly shift from days to nights. This happened around the time my dad was doing night shifts. I would stay up really late on these nights watching movies.
Sounds like something from.
It's always taken me a long time to fall asleep, so after turning off the TV to go to sleep, I probably laid there for a good half hour. Then, I heard a toy fall over in my toy closet.
That's
It was nothing
that's
too
when you jump out the
suspicious,
window.
but it still creeped me out.
No.
But then, the doorknob to my closet started to wiggle, until finally
Okay, you
unlocking
might
the door.
You can plug your ears if
I hid under my covers, not making a sound. It was strangely quiet for a good 2 minutes, so I finally peeked my head out of the covers. There was a figure standing next to my bed, looking down at me. I screamed at the top of my lungs and began hugging
I'm one huge pansy.
the wall behind me. The figure looked out the window and then just
Why
walked
does
away
this
out
dude
of
have
the
a
room.
pyro mask?
I stayed
He
in that
looks
position for like an
two-dimensional.
hour before checking if he was really gone.
What is this position? You
The
do
front door
yoga?
was left wide open,
Just put
so
your
it seemed he had
hands on
left.
your head and then just...
I didn't
Turn
get a
around.
minute of sleep that night.
No, duh. Teenage stalker.
This story is from the point of view of a 16-year-old girl. I used to have a boy living next door to me that was obsessed with me. His name was
That's when
Joey.
you move.
Every time I would go outside, Joey would come outside as well, as if he were watching me through his windows, waiting for me. He was 17 and very weird, and he didn't seem to have any friends, as he was always home. I tried to give every sign possible that I didn't like this guy, but he wouldn't get the message.
Dude, just accept
So I had
it.
to finally just tell him one day that I don't like him and to leave me alone. The look on his face that day is something that won't leave me. It was the kind of angry look a toddler gives their parents when they can't have a toy. Coming from a 17-year-old, that's much more disturbing.
This
One night,
Dragon
my
Ball
parents left
Z
me to watch the house.
effects.
I was working on a school project when I felt my bed shift a little bit. I looked under my bed. I screamed as I
You had to use the sound effect. Really?
I hate those sounds. Just...
saw Joey laying under my
Out
bed.
of the middle of...
Out
I
of the
ran
house.
away while he tried to
Thank
crawl
you.
out from under my bed. I ran to his house and rang the bell at least 10 times, telling his parents
Aaron,
about
it's
it when they
fine.
opened the door.
Pansy.
Joey
parents
never
are there.
came out of my house, so
Aaron,
I
come
called
on,
the
it's fine.
police. His parents begged
It was
me not
just
to,
him
but
under the
I
bed.
ignored them. The police found him still in my room and arrested him.
Ha!
Apparently, he admitted this wasn't the first time he had hid under my bed. They
Nope.
also found pictures
Done.
of me scattered
Freaking
across his
moving,
room.
man.
The most disturbing one was of me sleeping, and it was taken from inside my room.
Done. I move. And there's an ad.
What's
Congrats,
up, guys? This is Will
PragerU.
Witt with PragerU.
Nobody
and today
watches
we're gonna be
it.
asking people about
We don't give a darn about immigration. Midnight Office. This is the last one.
Working
we're
the night
watching.
shift always sucked. I work in an office building and would constantly do the night shifts since it was the only time it would work out for me. I was just about always the only person on the floor I worked on, possibly in the whole building. There would always be a kind of eerie feeling to
girlfriend,
being in
man.
such a
I'd date
big
her.
building with most of the lights out and absolutely no one around.
Ugh.
But on the upside,
Sorry,
it was
man, it's
peaceful
allergy
and less
season.
stressful, and I was able to get a lot of work done.
Congrats.
There was this one night, though. It was a Friday night, around 2 in the morning. I was typing away on
must
my
be up
keyboard when I heard a noise from outside my cubicle, It sounded like just a random crack from the walls or something. It's unusual in this building, but I didn't get too concerned about it. I resumed typing away and was once again interrupted by a sound. This time, the sound of a computer starting up. It caught me off guard. I was sure nobody else was working the night shift.
I don't think they're gonna.
I stood up on my chair to get a view over the cubicle walls. The glare of a computer screen in the dark was visible in a cubicle on the opposite side of the room.
Dude,
Then I did something stupid, something I regret.
No.
Okay, just sorry about that. It's my turn.
I asked if there was anybody there in a yell, hoping to get
Why
an
would
answer
you
from
do
a
that?
fellow employee. But instead, I saw the glaring light of the computer monitor across the room turn off, and there was once again nothing but darkness on that side of the room. I started getting nervous. I turned off the lamp and computer screen so that I wouldn't give away my position to whoever that was. I crouched
I think I'm getting scared now.
down and tiptoed out across to a nearby cubicle. There was just utter silence. I sat waiting for something to happen for God knows how long, but I eventually decided the coast was clear. I tiptoed down past all the cubicles until I reached the opening near the exit door to the stairs and elevators, and that's when I realized that my fearful suspicion was true. There was a man crouched down behind.
You know what? Screw it, man. I'm taking down my screen. You could see my room for God all knows what. I don't even care. I'm having the screen down because I'm scared to living crap.
behind a plant in the corner of the room, dressed in all black. I felt my heart sink as I noticed him, but it didn't seem like he knew that I noticed him. I turned back to the stairway door. There was no way I was going to wait for the elevator and take a chance. I casually opened the door and closed it behind me, proceeding to walk down the stairs. After making it down about 2 flights of stairs, I heard the door above me push open aggressively, followed by manic, echoing footsteps coming fast down the stairs. I raced down the stairs, running as fast as I could, all while the footsteps above me were getting louder. I finally made it to the first floor, raced through the lobby, and out the front door. Whoever was in there didn't follow me. I immediately called the cops, along with one of my bosses. My boss said no one was scheduled to work except for me.
Ew, put on a shirt.
The cops scanned the place from top to bottom.
That was the weirdest laugh
There
I've
was no
ever
one
done.
in there. I couldn't help them out with any description other than he was wearing all black. I did continue to do the
Batman?
night shift for about a week after that, with
Why
my boss
would you do
allowing me to
that?
lock all possible entrances to the floor, including the elevators. But I still wasn't comfortable with it, so ever since, I've been doing the day shifts.
Dude, bro, that's all we're freaking doing. Okay, you know what? I was sure as heck scared. I'm turning on the lights now, man. I know my room may be a mess, but there's no way in heck I am. It's actually really freaking clean even after I set it up all this. Look, clean except for these parts down here. We did have to cover up the blinds, so it wouldn't count as cheating. And I'm like a vampire right now, man. But yeah, man, we just got scared to crap, and so did my little brother. I feel bad for him now, man. I'm such a mean brother. But yeah, with any further ado, man, I'm done with this try not to get scared challenge. If this video can at least 5 to 10 likes, then I'll do it again on my own this time. But yeah, man, I'll be seeing y'all in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.